All right, let's talk tools again. This video we're going to talk about the Crawlbot, my little robot I use to inspect crawl spaces. All right, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Crawlbot, my little six-wheeler here. This is what I use for inspecting crawl spaces, but I want to make very clear to everybody, this is not going to work in every crawl space. I consider this just another one of my tools that I use when I can use it, okay? It does have its limitations, but overall, well worth the cost. To give you an example, if I do 30 houses in 1 month, which is my typical workload, I'll probably only have to crawl into 3 or 4 tops. And that's only to rescue this because a wire got trapped around the wheel. These are very susceptible to wires around the wheel because of these knobbies. If you go too fast over a thin wire, it'll catch it and then it'll just get all tangled up, and then you'll have to go in there and cut the wire and waste more time. But if you learn how to use it, take your time with it, it's very effective. You just got to go slow with it, learn its limitations, pay attention to what it can and can't do. It does have some fragile components on it. This is the camera right here. If this thing flips over, you could whack the camera. This will help a little bit, but this can get damaged, and it probably will. I've damaged it a couple times. I've had it repaired, but it's still worth using. So the highlights of using this is you can get through a crawl space fairly quickly. And what I do is I record the video. I just turn the video on, and I can watch the video later at my office while I'm drinking a coffee or whatever. So you are looking at it through this monitor here, but the screen's not great. The picture quality on the actual SD card when you watch on a computer is way better. So you got to do your best to watch what you're doing here when you're actually recording and at that property. But overall, it's well worth the cost. And I'm not doing this video to sell these. This is not a paid endorsement or anything like that. I'm just sharing with you what I use. And I actually get phone calls from clients specifically because I use this. So a lot of times I'll get a call, hey, my inspector couldn't get under my house. Can you come out and inspect it? I could see online that you have a Crawlbot, a robot that you use. Okay, great. I just picked up another client. Now I met another realtor, and that guarantee that realtor is going to call me next time because I was able to get the job done. So it's unfortunate the other inspector didn't have this or wasn't able to get under the house, but you can get more business from having this tool. And it does come with fancy red wheels. I wanted to point that out, but I couldn't pick those out. That's stock. Here's some footage of this baby in action. And this is a new construction. You can tell by the lumber on the floor. And this pipe is not even connected. It looks like they forgot one of the connectors to connect the 2 pipes together, the sweep. Just pouring water into there. And this is a brand new house. So I want to point out the actual size of this thing. So this measures across 16 inches from wheel to wheel, end to end. And the height of the camera is just under 7 inches. So that'll give you a good idea of what kind of pipes you can get under. It's going to take some getting used to with going under pipes because you got to go slow, because if you whack the camera right into the pipe, you're going to break your camera. Nose the camera down as you're approaching a pipe just to be sure you can clear it. Well, if you see any kind of a stoppage with the vehicle, then just back up and try another way to get around. But and it does jump over pipes pretty well. You can jump pipes with this as long as the pipe is sitting on the ground. If the pipe's elevated maybe an inch or 2 above the ground, you're probably not going to get over it because you can flip this thing over. This has a lot of torque. So if you punch it and it goes right up something, it's going to just completely tip over, and that's how you can damage it, and then you might have to go in there and rescue it. If you're a brand new inspector, I would not buy this yet because you have to know what you're looking at under the house first. I really think you need to have at least 50 to 100 crawl space experiences with your body being in there before you buy a tool like this, because you can miss stuff very easily using this if you're not used to what you're looking at. So if you're a new inspector, I'd wait on this a little bit till you get some experience so that you can identify things under a house at a snap of a finger. Because when you're looking through this little monitor, you may drive by something because you think it's something else, and then you realize, oh no, I forgot to report that. Or I got to report that. So be careful. This is not for a beginner. I really think you should wait on that. It's the best advice I can give you. Other benefits of using this is if there's a crawl space that has water in it. If you have a sewage leak, you don't have to crawl in this. You don't have to crawl in there yourself. So if there's a sewage leak, you're using this. Sure, it'll get dirty, wet. You want to clean it when you're done. Just don't get the electronics wet. But I've been under many houses where there's a big section of dry crawl space, and then I turn a corner and it's just soaked. So I'm glad I was using this at that time, because I was able to get close to the leak. I could go into the water, just a little bit of water. I'm not going to drive it underwater. It's not waterproof, but it really helped. So that was definitely a good benefit for this. Another negative for this tool is that you cannot identify anchoring on sill plates, because this is sitting on the soil floor. So it's typically sill plates are going to be, good 18 inches off the dirt. And does not have an ability to, this thing does not rise up and then look on the sill plate for you. It just won't see it. You might get lucky and see a tall bolt sticking out. If you're far away, rolling up to the foundation, you might see one, but you really can't. So what I would suggest for that is look inside the crawl space vent screens with your flashlight. That's a good place to look when you're doing your exterior inspection of the house to see if there's any anchoring there. That's typically what I do. And it lets me know if I'm seeing at least 1 or 2 anchors. That tells me anchoring's present. So that's how I do it. This is not going to tell you, in most cases, if there's anchoring. You will not be able to see it with this. Okay, so let's talk about how long the battery stays charged during usage. If I charge this on a Sunday, which I typically do, because I'll have a full week ahead, I'll give it a full charge. I won't have to charge this again till the following week, the following Sunday. Because you got to remember, you're only using this under a house for probably 10 to 15 minutes per house. And if I'm doing 2 houses a day and they all have crawl spaces, that doesn't really add up to a lot of time. So you don't have to really worry too much about this holding its charge. It's really good about holding a charge. It's a lithium battery in here, so it's pretty solid as far as that goes. On the handheld device, you got to be a little more cautious with this. This takes AA batteries for this part, and this here monitor needs to be charged with a wall charger. So you do have to keep an eye on those things. It does have readings on here that tells you when your battery's low and so forth. But overall, this is a great tool. I highly recommend it. Okay, check out this photo of the Crawlbot stuck in the mud. I went under a house with this once. I was driving it through and it seemed to be moving at a normal speed, and then I noticed it started slowing down. I'm like, man, is my battery low? I thought maybe I forgot to charge the battery. I was like, what's going on here? And I'm going because the whole crawl space was the same color. So I couldn't tell that it was all wet. The entire crawl space was wet and it was mud. So as I was going into the crawl space, this thing was sinking in the mud, and it kept getting deeper and deeper. I finally had to stop what I was doing, take my flashlight, stick my head in the crawl space hole, and shine my light out. And then I could see that there was this much mud on all my tires. It was just stuck. So I had to suit up. I had to put my crawl suit on, knee pads, everything, and I came out of there a mess. The entire crawl space had like 2 inches of mud in it. It was saturated with water, the whole crawl space. I've never seen that before. So I had to go pretty far in to get this thing. I'd say at least half the width of the house I had to go to rescue this. I had to drag it out and drag myself out completely full of mud. So yeah, that was a one-off situation, and the reason why I didn't notice it is because everything was the same color. There was no indicator that there was something wrong under there when I put it in. This is how much moisture is underneath this house. It literally stopped my Crawlbot from getting any further. I got about 3/4 of the crawl space done with the Crawlbot, but there was so much mud, it just stopped the wheels from moving. I had to go in there and get it. Look at my knee pads. That's how much mud's in there. That was a little horror story for you, so be careful where you put this. And one more note I forgot to mention, don't drive this into a trench. So if you're moving forward, don't be angling the camera on the right or left if you're going forward, because you could wind up in a ditch. Because a lot of times plumbers will trench out the crawl space to put a pipe in and they will not put that dirt back. I've done this and I've broken my camera before. So pay attention to where you're going at all times or you will break it. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe, and hey, leave some comments. Maybe you have one of these already. Maybe you're thinking about buying one. I will put a link to the website where you can get one of these, because I do know the person who makes these. And let's get some some conversation going here in the comment section. I'd love to hear your stories, and see you on the next one.